Hey everyone, hope you're well. This is CoinsKid. Just going to XRP once again. Thank you for support. Okay, big of the CoinsKid crew. So XRP's had a nice little reaction off that 5-wave counter. Like I said to you in recent video, I'm not short in XRP here because if you take a look on the lower time frames, we've seen 5 waves down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For me, that's not a short opportunity. That is a long opportunity. You don't go short after 5 waves down. You go long basically, and equally the same on the up. If you see 5 waves up, you don't go long. You go short. We counter the 5 waves on this channel. We've done it for many years, and we'll continue to do it for many years. So XRP is doing really well at the moment. It's had a nice reaction. We're going to zoom in a moment and show you exactly all the resistance levels, what we need to see broken to increase probability. Okay, XRP is looking pretty impulsive. Now there is an expanded flat count as a possibility for XRP that bottomed way back there in April. It's not the most prettiest count, but it is a count that someone brought to my attention, and we need to take a look at that in today's video. Okay, so I'll zoom in a moment, but I just want to show you a key indicator right now, the dumb money indicator that I create for yourselves. If we zoom back to, I think it was around about November, wasn't it? So anyone that's been with the channel will remember at this particular time frame when the blue line, which is your basically your dumb money, triggered this red line, I said to you I'm converting my Bitcoin into XRP at that point, and I did exactly that. I relayed that opportunity to you. I think Bitcoin was trading around about 85k, XRP ran about 55 cents, and it was a fantastic trade. XRP did about 5, 6, 7x, and Bitcoin just went from like 85k to 100k, 25% or whatever. So like I said to you, the proof's in the pudding. The data is what I always relay to you, the opportunities. That data was bang on, but like I said to you, I think we'll come in for some kind of correction relatively soon, because every time we've triggered this red line, we have seen some kind of correction in crypto, and we've seen exactly that. So whether or not that is the end of the impulse and the end of the bull market, time will tell. But if we take a look at the previous 2 times that we hit this, okay, in April of 2021 we came down, made the lower high, which was your B wave, which was an alt season, I've relayed to you, and then we came up again late towards the year and we triggered the red macro danger zone bar. Basically we triggered it there, and triggered it here. So what we've not seen in this particular correction just there was obviously a warning, but it's not the macro danger warning. So I think it's coming, and what I'm looking at right now, as this blue line approaches this red line in time, you will start to see more retail interest, more people showing up, your hairdressers, your taxis drivers, and just random people messaging you if they know you're in crypto. They'll be what should I buy and things like that, because they're late to the party, because they are dumb money. So on this channel I like to think that we're this blue line, and what we do is it buggers off and loses interest like it did just there. We're buying. Okay, we're not crying, we're buying. And this is where you take those opportunities, you accumulate in the floors, on bottoms, on RSI, bullish divergence and things like that. 5 waves down, accumulate, and I've taught you this. Okay, and then what happens as retail shows up and as the dumb money comes into the market, this is where unfortunately you sell. You don't want to sell, but you're taking profits and you jump in shit. So I think that time will come again, and this is why I create this indicator. So whether or not we've seen a macro top, time will tell, but personally there's no bias from the structures that I'm looking at, the counts that I'm looking at, the S&P 500, the tether dominance, and many other things with yourselves, the 5-day time frame for Bitcoin with the crystal ball indicator, and equally the CoinsKid ribbon, which I've shown you in yesterday's video. For me, I think we're still in the realms of possibility that we've got a major move to the upside here for crypto, and we've not necessarily seen this cycle top. Equally, there's a characteristic of the top where Bitcoin comes up just like it did way back here. For anyone that's paying attention, Bitcoin came down here in, I think it was April, came back up here, it made a lower high, but at that point the characteristic of the top we were seeing in the previous top in 2017 was total 2, which is your cryptocurrency excluding Bitcoin, basically broke out. That's basically your alt season right there, and we've not seen it in any of these peaks, that we've gone through for Bitcoin since the bottom in 2022. We've not seen that characteristic. So whether or not it'll come, I don't know, but it's one of the characteristics I'm looking at to say, okay, jump ship. And most importantly as well is an indicator I create for yourselves called the CKR, which is currently sitting around about 70. I'm looking for this to get dark red like it did there, like it did there, and like it did there, and we just don't see it yet. So again, data not emotion. Retail is just simply not here right now. So let's dive into the XRP chart to see what we can see. Okay, so looking at this tweet I made way back when on December the 2nd 2024, I was looking at this rinse repeat on Crypto Street, where in this cycle XRP came out twice on the weekly RSI, and when it came back in, it wobbled sideways in the mid zone, which is your momentum zone, basically the sweet spot between 70 and 30. Okay, just that minimum level in the weekly RSI, still holding that bullish trajectory right there. You can clearly see on this drop here, when it came down, it lost the weekly momentum and turned the mid zone into resistance. Okay, and at this time you're creating these dead cat bounces. It wasn't until he got extremely oversold in March of 2020 that he actually began brand new impulses to the upside. So all of this was just bear traps, basically, bull traps, corrective dead cat bounces. So I'm looking at this rinse repeat, and again here, it happened here. If you take a look on this top, what happened? Lost the 50 zone in the weekly RSI, came up, made the dead cat bounce, and then dropped to really oversold conditions on the weekly, which is something I relayed to you at the time, a buy zone. Fantastic. So from there we began another impulsive move where again we came back up, we came back down to oversold, we lost the 50 level, and then boom, you know, we've done exactly the same here. So basically we've got a bolt where we came out and then we've come back in to the weekly mid zone. So it's really important that we see that mid zone being held. We've held it 3 times at Bitcoin, and for anyone that's paid attention, that was our buy zone on Bitcoin. Its confluence was the mid zone on the weekly RSI. Okay, so the RSI is really important. Not a lot of people look at the RSI, but just we did start to create bearish divergence on this impulse. At that point I was looking for this pullback into the mid zone, which I relayed to you. Okay, so many questions about when to sell my XRP. We can all guess and shoot off targets, but I'm looking for many key data points, and this is one of those. Simply for XRP, whenever we see XRP get extremely overbought in an impulsive wave to the upside, we see it drop to the RSI neutral zone between 70 overbought and 30 oversold. So basically around about 50. If it then cools off for a bit, going sideways, builds up momentum, then it comes back out with a bang into overbought market conditions again. The key structural data point is where I will sell unless I see things to suggest otherwise. Stay tuned. This is one of the key data points I'm looking at as to why I've not necessarily sold my XRP. If we do start to see it lose that 50 zone like we did on that breakout, come back, lost the 50, turned it to resistance, again you've got confluence in the data right there that you're losing momentum. But currently XRP has actually held that momentum. So let's dive into the weekly chart on XRP to see what we can see. Okay, look at XRP on a weekly time frame. Currently we're holding the weekly box, the weekly buy zone. Basically momentum on the weekly is being held, which is a bit of good news. Okay, we've not necessarily lost it. If we'd have lost it, and you know, that's not a good sign. So a big tick at the moment, we are holding it, and this is something we want to see, because if we move to the left, we held it there before that big move to the upside. You know, if we move to the right just there, this was an impulse just there, went sideways in the mid zone, led to another break to the upside, which was this move here. Then unfortunately, for those people who remember, I think it was around about late 2020, the SEC come out with their rubbish, didn't they? You know, and we saw that big drop in XRP, but it never lost it. It came down, suddenly got back up, and then boom, led to that breakout, which obviously at the time created that bearish divergence. Okay, then we come back into this mid zone, we held it for a quick minute, and then boom, we've dropped basically. So you're making a series of lower lows, lower highs, and you're losing the mid zone, and in all of this chip chop sideways, you got your descending triangle like that, and then boom, you drop like a stone, where you've got really oversold again. We bought a chunk there, and you come back up. Okay, you was holding this mid zone, and you broke out once more into an impulsive move. You've came back down, you've lost the mid zone, and you're starting to turn it into resistance, making a series of lower lows and lower highs. So at this point, we've got oversold again in a 5-wave counter from, I think it was March of 2024. 1, 2, waterfall 3, 4, 5. We jumped in, and so far we've seen this positive reaction. You've seen your first impulse that came up, held the mid zone, and broke out once more. But on this point here, we have actually saw a bearish divergence print in the chart, and this is why in January I did say to you, I think we're coming in for a correction here. Okay, and we came back. I thought it was complete, to be honest with you, on this wick here, massive wick, you know, but then it came back up, obviously with a Trump pump, and then boom, we've had that drop just there that met my eventual target of $1.64, our buy zone basically. And what we're doing on that $1.64 at the moment, we are still holding the mid zone, which is really important, because obviously if we start to do something like this, okay, you know, you're in trouble, and what we've got to do is just exit and just wait till we get really oversold again, like we did there, like we did there, and like we did there. Okay, and there's no avoiding that, because you're losing momentum on the weekly time frame, and every time we've come down and got really oversold, you know, it's just been a sweet spot, a buying opportunity right there for XRP. It was just there, it was just there, and it was just there. Okay, so if you take a look, since that I think March 2020 low, you've got a low, you've got a higher low, and you've made another higher low in recent times. So, you know, XRP can afford to lose, you know, it can afford to break down, it can afford to go for a big correction. I don't necessarily envision it, but again, a lot of people say I'm biased at that particular analysis. But what I think we need to do is just be patient. If we start to see a breakdown the weekly RSI, then okay, increase the probabilities, you know, you're going to get your drawdown like you did there, your drawdown like you did there, and your drawdown like you did there, because, you know, the weekly RSI is losing momentum right there. Really, really simple. Okay, so we don't quite see it yet, so it's probably a little bit of hoping for the, you know, the perma bears and the people that want, you know, to buy XRP on the cheap, that have missed all that blood fear and depression there, and even all there, you know, and they've not bought in because they've been really, really fearful, and they've missed this breakout. But this breakout, you know, for anyone that's been with the channel, you know, we've been looking at this for a very long time, and the real reason, the simple reason is because we've got the compression pattern there, from, you know, basically lower highs into compression of higher lows. You know, you come upstairs, got compressed, and you break out. So we was looking at this breakout right on cue. Boom, look at that, beautiful. So what goes up must come down, like I relayed to you. I did expect a correction at these highs. I didn't necessarily think we'd break out the all-time high without going through some kind of correction, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're currently holding that pivot high there, which is really important, and we're holding the mid-range on the weekly RSI. So if we can continue this sort of consolidation of range and build up more momentum from this, you know, basically shakeout, come up impulsively, correctively, we should be looking at continuation here for XRP. So I'm going to zoom on lower time frames right now, but there is an indicator that create for yourselves based on M2 global money supply that does show liquidity coming back into the market way into August right there. Let's zoom in on the lower time frames right now to see what we can see. Okay, so looking at XRP on the daily time frame, at the moment we may have completed the correction just there at that $1.61, which is a buy zone on this God candle back test. Amazing. Okay, and that's something I was relaying to you when we was dropping up here and we started to come down. I was looking at it as initial buy zone, but this Trump pump, it did hoodwink me, to be honest with you. I think it hoodwinked a lot of people, but you know, some kind of bull trap, and then boom, it's continued to come down. So what I've been looking for in the entirety of all these waves to the downside was a first 5-wave move up, and like I said to you, if you do start to see 5 waves up from any bottom, it does increase the probability. So on the 4-hourly time frame, we did see a lovely 5-wave move into the 20, made the high low, broke out, high low, broke out, and right now, you know, you're coming back in retracement to this low. So really simply, in layman's terms, what we are doing from a potential impulsive move is retracing to this low, and we've currently found support on the 0.5 fib. Okay, if we continue to hold that, you're an impulsive, corrective breakout move here for XRP that comes out, takes out this neckline, takes out this orange line, and boom, that's it. I think you're in a technical target to $4.13, an absolute minimal, and obviously I think we'll go beyond that as well, but that would be my minimal target for you, and it would indicate, okay, left shoulder, head, right shoulder as anticipated, coming up, break that neckline, take out that neckline as well. Boom, I think we're on $4.13, and that's it. You know, XRP has completed its correction, and that is your bottom basically, and we've got a W, X, Y correction, and within this correction we do see a series of 3 waves in each leg. Okay, so basically from here, there was your W, there was your X, and there was your Y, and then from there we've seen a series of 3 waves in each leg, A, B, C. Like I said to you, I think that this move to the upside is a corrective move because it's a 3-wave move, A, B, C. And then this leg, which was big, it was a massive leg, a Y correction. Basically the Y leg, you saw A and a B and a C. So from this low here, we have seen 5 waves into this 20, pull back, and right now we're looking pretty impulsive, but it's all about this low, because currently XRP's ramped up into this neckline, the 0 fib at $2.65, and it's retracing back down to your 1 fib. If it loses a 1 fib, then obviously you're down there on this neckline once more, which is around about $1.41. So all eyes on the charts. At the moment, you've come up impulsively, and right now potentially correcting, you know, you're retracing the move. If we can hold the 1 fib at $1.61, fantastic. I think we'll break out here. So we're looking for more clues. If we see this resistance trend line broken and this neckline at $2.59, there's your target, your inverse and shoulders pattern, your reversal pattern at the lows for XRP. So I'll leave you with that, but possibly we completed that WXY correction. WXY correction, 3 waves down, 3 waves up, 3 waves down. Really simple. Okay, hope you understand the update. Stay obsessed, stay tuned. All eyes on the charts. I keep you updated as best I can, but we're looking for this trend line break, $2.59. I think we'll see a big vertical to $4.13 at least, and price discovery being entertained for XRP. Hope you understand the update. Stay obsessed, stay tuned. Take care everyone. Back to an update on XRP. Bye bye.